Hello and welcome everybody to the Bye Round Grand Final Preview Edition. I'm your host, James Graham. We are joined by Broncos legend Gordan Tallis and Storm legend recently returning. No coincidence, he is back in town for Grand Final week. Christian Welsh exited Central America just to be here, just for the Bye Round, mate. That's all it is, isn't it?
Oh, that's right. I was sitting there on a beach there on the Amalfi Coast and I said, I need my rugby league. I need to see some kick pressure. I need to see some kick-off carries. I changed my flights. My missus wasn't happy, but I said, I need it. I'm back. Let's go.
Yeah, he needs a cash. He's Melbourne.
Also cash. I ran out of cash also.
Queenslander, Melbourne just ticks every box.
Exactly. Hey, before we get stuck into the show, big shout out for the Covermore Travel Insurance big giveaway. Click the notes in the bio to enter. You can win a trip for two to Las Vegas, Nevada. We're talking flights, accommodation, tickets, and a money can't buy on-field experience. Gordan Tallis, you will likely be there. Also, please like, subscribe, all that jazz. We are an independent podcast, so it really does mean a lot. Gordy, Broncos, they're in the grand final. The scenes on Sunday. It was grand final winning-esque.
Every single person, but like you guys were there. Unfortunately, I was up in North Queensland, but everybody that I've spoken to that have watched over 20 State of Origins in that place said they've never seen a better atmosphere. The way it was rocking, the crowd got behind them. It's amazing. I think it's been the best final series that I've witnessed and watched. You know, like if you go to the Raiders, Storm, you know, with the injuries, just the way that it's all unfolded, Penrith, you know, demolition of the Dogs, and then you watched Sunday, Penrith was at 98 odd games where they've been ahead by 12 points and never been beaten. And for that to happen, it was just amazing. And now we get a grand final that, you know, these two clubs, there's a fair bit of history. I think that they really respect each other, but there's a bit of tension and a bit of dislike as well.
And even just touching on that, daytime finals footy, like how good is it? It's such a good product. And I hate Sunday night NRL grand final, how late it is. Even our Origins are, 10 past 8 on a Wednesday night. I wonder if Landies and the NRL are going, hey, look, maybe we can
do you know what?
do that 5:30 on a Sunday.
I think it's the biggest rating game ever on Fox. So, like, if that's true ratings, right, where they sit there and they press the button, Penrith and Brisbane. So it's a 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock kickoff. Why can't we do that? Like, more kids get to watch it, right? More families get to see it. And this whole ratings thing, I just don't get it. Everybody watches it.
And it's better for New Zealand as well.
You cannot tell me that you're going to get...
Hey, you know what? Our Kiwi fans of the show often give us stick for not covering the Warriors. Christian Welsh just buttering them up. No, for New Zealand as well.
No, but it is true.
It is.
Because like when I was over there when the Titans played, and I think there was a game on, they're filling pubs, and it starts at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night. So they've been so loyal, and they've sell out nearly every game. So it makes common sense, and it's a better product. Well, if you go daytime, I know the act and the daytime fireworks, right? That waste of money. But I actually think it's a better product on the field.
Well, it certainly suits the flashier, quicker players. For people like us, like it makes our job significantly
harder. You're
harder.
A mud runner from the north of England.
Well, exactly. I want it as cool and as late as possible. And surely, like, we're doing our next generation of forwards no favours by promoting a daytime game. The daytime game brings your Reece Walshes, you know, your Ryan Pappenhausens, your Cam Munsters, your Jahrome Hughes is into play. All these fast guys.
The horse is bolted. We've already lost it. It's the big guys. They're going extinct. You got a couple of rare breeds like Payne Haas, but it's a quick man's game. You got to have leg speed, and you got to be a bit smaller and more agile. And that's what the product they want. They want lots of tries. They want speed. 6 again. You look at it. It's not as slow and arduous. Well, I guess the product on the TV, the ratings are showing. Yeah. I'm probably a bit more of a traditionalist. Some of those classic Origin games are real arm wrestle, 6-4 games, but I guess lots of points. I guess it must be selling.
Yeah, see, I fell out of like with the game for like a little bit, but I've enjoyed it more this year. And the 6 again, because I didn't like the wrestle and more like the players going up and wasting time. You know how Cameron Smith would go up there like
No, never.
And just take 30 seconds out of the game. I didn't like that. So the 6 again has got it sort of flowing, and I think that the product And I do like the little guys in because it'd be a shame if we didn't see another Alan Langer, Jonathan Thurston, that guy come through our game.
I think, to echo what you guys have said, the final series so far, it's been so tense, anticipation through the roof, unpredictable, which I think any sports fan wants. You want unpredictability. We had 2 teams from the top 4 go out in straight sets, 2 teams from the bottom half of the 8, really make a strong case for themselves. Obviously, one of those was Penrith, the other one being the Sharks, who I thought went really well. But in terms of a daytime grand final, one thing you are forgetting in your arguments is the news. Like, we can't
Jimmy, I'm going to
forget-
steal something.
We can't forget
from the late, great James Graham. This is the news. The game is the news. So, so when you're watching it, people tune in to see, and they want to know the ins and outs, and they're watching it live.
Well, do you want me to give you a scoop?
Hold on, we got a break. We got to go to the news. We'll be back in a minute.
Well, if we have a daytime grand final, here's the headlines of the news. Bong, Team X wins the grand final. Bong, this player gets Clive Churchill. Bong, there's a load of mad shit going overseas. Bong, more mad shit going on overseas. Bong, this team wins the grand final. There's your fucking headline. It's the news. We are the news.
There you go. See, I like it. We are the news.
It drives me insane. It drives me insane that, like,
That's
we
when
think
you buy
about the
around
news.
shit. That's the buy around shit.
We are the news.
Look at that.
Gordon, the Broncos looking to end a 19-year premiership drought.
Yeah, that's when someone told me that's sort of alarming because of the club that it is. But they've had a couple of opportunities. Obviously, 2015 was one. Penrith a couple of years ago. So there was 2 that they probably had a firm grip on the trophy, probably had one hand on it and didn't get it. So, and they're coming up against a side that's just got the most amazing record against Brisbane. But I think they can do it. Like, I think with the belief that they've got on 360 the other night, we spoke to Adam Reynolds. They beat Melbourne for the first time. I know there was injuries, but I went and watched that game. And Melbourne probably weren't the Melbourne Storm that we've watched, but Brisbane did pull them apart, where that hasn't happened in a long, long time. So I think this side, with confidence, with momentum, that's what you want in the business end of the season, and they've got both of those.
With some of those, I guess, scars from yesteryear, what do you think that the conversations are like to the whole group, those little pockets that break off? Because, it did seem like there was an exercising those demons on Sunday, beating that team in Penrith. The comeback added to that. But then quickly attention will turn to 23 and 15. How do they overcome, or is it just gone because of what happened on Sunday?
Mate, I think it's gone. I think the way the side's grown, like they've got 50 odd games under their belt from the last grand final. Reece Walsh has got more maturity, right? You've watched his game develop over the last month. I don't think that they have, and I think that the only thing that they can hold on is to their last month of footy, that they've been pretty clinical and they've jumped a lot of hurdles. And Melbourne Storm was one, and then Penrith was another. And Penrith don't win, never lose from 14 or 12 and down. I said there was 98 games in a row that they won from that. Nathan Cleary hasn't lost a day game in 5 or 6 years, and Penrith are the best side, or were the best side. I know it's not the Penrith that it was a couple of years ago, but they've jumped it, and they've got a lot of demons and a few monkeys off their back. So I think, and Melbourne Storm, well, they haven't. The scary part about Melbourne is they haven't played their best all year. I don't think, like, they've played 40 minutes, they played 20 minutes, but if Melbourne put a 40 minutes together, wow.
But even just touching on that, Penrith, like, you were talking about the final series, and I think that the AFL have really stuffed up. They've put a pre-finals bye, so the whole competition goes on a break, then they start their final series. So if you're coming 7th or 8th, you freshen everyone up, you can go on a run, right? Whereas in the NRL, we got 27 rounds, absolutely flogging each other. We make our stars play Origin. There's no break. Then you jump into week 1. So, like, I think that was honestly the difference on, in that Sunday final. Penrith, Broncos were rewarded. They won week 1. They got the week off, freshened up, and that was incredibly physical and just downright violent, that game. Yeah. But you could see Penrith finishing 7th. They didn't get rewarded, and they were kind of penalised for that to win out, no week off. And I just reckon they ran out a bit of juice.
16 players, so they flexed a little bit.
I just reckon they ran out a bit of juice in that last 15.
Yep.
And to be honest, the Broncos were bashing them early, but they were really resilient. But you could see where Cleary's kicks were ending at the start of the game. The Broncos were catching on their 5-10 metre line, and then it started creeping out, and then they just lost that arm wrestle at the end.
The thing is, though, if you finish 7th or 8th, it should be more difficult.
Yeah, I agree. I think we've got it.
You add that.
It's not broken.
Yeah.
State of origin in the middle of the year is not broken because the sides that don't have origin players tend to creep up, and get the competition back even and injuries. And then at the end of the year, you get rewarded if you finish in the top 4. And that's why sides don't win from that. But you got to have a great year. You got to get more chocolates, make more bickies in the tin through the year. And then when you come to the finals, you can get a week off and you get a home final and all the luxuries that go along with it.
I'll come back and I'll touch some more on Melbourne. But Christine, you brought up a great point about the freshness. Now, the Storm get 2 extra days and the level of intensity clearly wasn't the same as the game on Friday, on Sunday. Some of that to do with the officiating, some of that to do with the level of performance. Are the Storm in? Do they have an advantage from those circumstances?
Yeah, I think so. 2 days rest, and I guess the Storm are going, hey, we've looked at Broncos Penrith game. Like, I agree. I think the intensity of that game was much higher than Storm's prelim. So now they're going, hey, we're a bit fresher, but we need to get to that level the Bronx are at. And now the Bronx challenge is, can we repeat that performance we had, with 2 days less rest, I guess.
If it was 5 days and 7 days, I think that's a bit of a difference, but 7 days and 9 days.
Oh, yeah.
What's the benefit there? You get rid of your signing, get your tickets out of the way.
Yeah.
What, is it an extra rehab session?
Yeah,
because it certainly wouldn't be an extra field session.
Well, you think about it. By the time Sunday rolls around, probably not the big boys who actually do the hard work, but all those cowards in the back line, they're going to be feeling pretty fresh by the time Penrith and Broncos kicked off. So you think that lag, of the Broncos probably aren't going to come good by probably Tuesday, considering how physical that game was. You look at Payne Haas. Think about the miles on those legs, 80 minutes, and the efforts. I mean, that's another story, but
he's the Terminator.
Mate, he's unbelievable. But, the Storm, their forward pack, they've been sitting there nice and rested. It was interesting to see Stefano, because normally the Storm are very good at not...
Who was he talking about?
Oh, I don't know.
Payne Haas? Just say it.
Yeah, why not? What a matchup that's going to be. But I really enjoyed it, but normally...
Have you ever said anything about any other forward before a game?
No.
Why not?
Don't want to put my teammates in a vulnerable position.
Well, why
didn't
give
he put
him
it
more
on himself?
Why give the opposition more
mate, but didn't he put it on himself?
Yeah, but then he's just putting pressure on himself. But hey, he's been playing fantastic as well.
He's a big body.
Go out and get it.
He has been playing well.
Yeah, so
but he's coming up against the best. I spoke.
So front rowers think love a challenge and a collision.
Yeah, I mean, Stefano's arguably put the target on his back, but he's coming up against the best.
Yeah,
and the best by some margin. I said to Dean Ritchie yesterday, and he ran with the line of Payne Haas will baffle evolutionary biologists because watching him play, he was an 80-minute impact player.
I want you to say that fast 10 times.
But it's not
evolutionary biologist.
Say it fast 10 times.
Evolutionary
it's the power.
biologist.
It's the power, but the endurance.
Yes,
he's got the perfect combination. Tino's got it as well.
Look, the rumour is that when he was young and his family would watch him, and if he didn't have a go at training, they said that his dad used to make him run home or do extras.
Yeah, right.
That's the rumour. Whether it's true or not,
but
that's
you know,
probably
but you know what,
Gordy,
there's a lot of athletes out there that have that parental pressure or standards upon themselves. I know a lad that was made to run home if he didn't rip in at training, and look, he was okay, but that still doesn't deny that you've got a genetic potential, right? And for Payne Haas, the power that he runs through, it takes so much. I used to play long minutes, but you got to be careful about how hard you go. You start hard and then you sort of get into I guess you could call it cruise control and you pick your moments. But you've got to know you have a big run and you're going to pay the tax for that a little bit later on. You have a big chase back and you're going to pay the tax.
Isn't that just the evolution of the game and the athlete because of how they run at the Olympics and where they throw and where they swim and where that now with the sports science in it, they've just taken an athlete and got the maximum potential out of him. And yes, okay, he's a freak, but there's been like a lot of guys like Bradley Clyde in my time was a freak. Glenn Lazarus for a big guy was a freak, but then all of a sudden you bring in the sports science that goes, okay, he's this, and then they train you because we all did the same thing. The wingers did the same thing as a front row, and now I don't think that happens.
You just got, but the white front row, our days are numbered. We've exited the game at a good time because they're just incredible athletes. But I think what we haven't seen is that Pacifica. We've seen plenty of powerful Pacifica players, but not necessarily with the combination of the endurance. Like 80
I've
minutes.
not seen anyone with that power and endurance. It's not supposed to happen. You're supposed to be fast twitch or slow twitch.
Yeah, it's one or the other. You're either a worker or a power player.
Didn't Sam Burgess have a bit of it?
But he did, but his endurance wasn't anywhere near the level of Payne Haas. Like Payne Haas's ability to recharge. I was watching it in that game very closely because about the 35-minute mark, I was going, he's going to get to half time here, and then I thought, no, he's not. He's going to have to go. Maguire's told him to go the 80. And then there was a period in commentary for Triple M.
But he'll fall off a cliff.
Well, maybe eventually.
Yeah, mate, at the end of his career, like I'm telling you, like there's machines and cars break down. So like then what they're taking out of his tank now.
Yes. He'll pay a price for that later.
Mate, he's going to pay a price. So Payne Haas, when you look at someone and you play to 35, like, mate, unless, you know.
That might be R360's problem, but anyway. Watching him at about the 65, I thought Broncos are close here, but I even thought maybe Maguire takes him off for 4 minutes, 4 sets just to recharge. But then all of a sudden, it's like you could see, like, it's like, you know, in Mario Kart where you got the bump and then you
take over one of those little toads and you get more speed.
It was like, there was one run in particular, I was like, where on earth did that come from? Because there was literally 30 seconds ago, he looked like he couldn't lift his legs. He was that tired.
Well, against Canberra, he hurt his ankle.
Yeah.
And he limped around and I'm like, he's gone here. Like we called it. Then we interviewed him after the game. He goes, oh yeah, I was just sucking it. Like I had to toughen up. But seriously, like I'm thinking, that's moon boot. He's not coming back on if he goes off. Then he bagged himself, said, mate, I was just being a sook. I'm like, Jesus. He recovered from a guy. He looked like Stephen Crichton. So Stephen Crichton, moon boot, didn't play. That's how bad he was hobbling in the background. And then 10 minutes later, he's doing hit-ups and running. So, yeah, he's made a different gravy. Yeah. I've always wanted to say that. It's different gravy.
He had that. That's one of the best finals performances I've ever seen. But, Christian, coming to you from a Melbourne perspective, Craig Bellamy, been there, done that, got the T-shirt. It has been a while, though. What will the week be like for him?
Yeah, they'll have little Sua Falongo and they'll have him dressed up as Reece Walsh and he'll be studying him, how he runs, what edge, like what side he goes down, what his, you know, all the little tendencies, and they'll be trying to replicate that the best they can. They're called the Renegades down in Melbourne. So it's you got your Storm 13, then you got your rest of your squad.
Are they called the Renegades?
They're called the Renegades. And they'll be doing everything they can to replicate what the Broncos do. Obviously, Reece Walsh does stuff that you can't really train for as well, but they'll be probably, I'd say they'll be trying to go at him because I think, you know, he's got some merits, but he's got some wonderful match-winning ability. So they're thinking, hey, if we can really front-load this pressure on him and maybe get an error or two out of him and maybe win a bit of field position.
Do they watch the tape from Sunday? Because I thought the Panthers actually, they took away from him quite a lot. Yeah. I thought they... You know, on those shifts, especially,
he still set up the tries.
Yeah, but I thought, like, compare that
more.
to his best games. I thought Penrith did a good job of limiting his impact on the game.
Yeah, but I thought he was really tough. Like his first, like he actually ran pretty straight and hard a couple of times. You know, Reece. Yeah. So look, it's probably the fatigue in the game because of Cleary's kicking game probably took a bit out of it. So when you look at Reece, right? his attacking game is first class, but defensively, you know, the knock on him is, you know, he doesn't get to the ball as quick. But with Cleary, I reckon he was outstanding. He actually said, you know, like, mate, what about me? So I reckon Cleary took him on in that part, and he had to be on it. So maybe the kicking game took a bit of energy out of him. He did get sin bin in the semi-final, which gave him a bit of a refresher. So maybe get sin bin again and come back on.
Ben Hunt moving into hooker there, it's one less mouth to feed, you know what I mean? So he's got Reynolds, he's got Ben Hunt there. They're all trying to get shape on, whereas he goes in and then you got Walsh, who's got a bit more freedom. I really... Like, there were some sets there in the first half where they're attacking the try line and Walsh didn't touch the ball once.
Yeah.
And he's your X factor. But then whether it was coaching or he's just gone, give me the ball, I'm going to make a play here. That second half, you know, we've all seen that try assist, but he was really threatening.
Just back to Coach Bellamy. Stefano's made his comments. He wants to run over people. Is the conversation from him, you better deliver, pal?
Of course.
Well, some blokes need to do that. Like Will Chambers, one of the great examples. He needs to put himself under that pressure and sledge, and then he's going, well, if I'm talking this much shit, I need to back it up. And for a majority of his career, he backed it up. You know, and probably till the back end there, we got to Cronulla and
we shouldn't make too much of it, Jimmy.
No.
Because I'm sick of cardboard
and it's good
cutouts, right?
Yeah.
Like their mate Reece Walsh last week got asked, oh, mate, what about Nathan Cleary? He goes, well, what about us? Yeah. Or like, what about me? Like, that's the cool part. We shouldn't shoot them down for that. I like the way they put themselves out there. Like, it's been a while since players have actually said, and I think Stefano, I thought it was innocent. He goes, oh, you know, mate, well, good luck. And I don't really like him that much. And I don't think there was malice. I thought it was just a young kid not dealing with the mic as well as what someone that's 30. And he just probably had a little honesty test within himself. He said, well, I don't like him. And they're stuck up. And maybe when he was playing at the Tigers or whatever, Brisbane probably flogged him and they got in his face and got in his grill. And he's come back and had a bit of a shot. And I like that. It's we shouldn't eat the kid up for it. And hopefully he goes out there and plays great. But I like that. Like, I actually really do like it. Because if I was a young kid, I got foot and mouth disease as well. And I still get it now every now and then. And you know, it's just what you're thinking at the time. And if we all filter and we sit there like cookie cutouts and cardboard cutouts, it'd be boring. Like, then that's what we talk about Origin. And then, you know, now we've got a young kid that's just backed himself. He's excited. He's playing his first grand final. He's gone down there because he wanted to do this.
But like
the occasion got better.
Is he wrong though? Like
he's not.
The Broncos are the biggest sporting club in Australia. They got a bit of swagger. You've got some personalities in that side. They got that real bravado.
Yeah. They get their eyebrows done, their nails done, their hair
good on
done.
them. Like, and that's why when people are knocking Luai when he was at Penrith, you know, oh, he's arrogant. You can be arrogant when you've won 3 or 4 comps in a row. Luai can do whatever he wants. Yep. He's a winner. He goes out and wins it. So I guess that's the challenge for Brisbane to
it's good for guys like us, but from the coach.
See, I wouldn't have made a big thing of it. But what about that? I would have went. Sitting there, I wouldn't have. I said, oh, geez, I like that from him. I wouldn't go, oh, what about that? Who, you know? So. Because it's come up on the rundown, I would have just watched it. Would have been different if I'm playing against him. But
it's different for the game. It's great, but as a coach, you think, oh, geez, a little bit of pressure. But you guys are corporate media fat cats. You guys are the machine. We're talking about it because you guys are talking about it. My boy Stefano, just a purebred front row, just trying to go about his work, and we're talking shit about it.
Mate, I heard you talk like that too.
Let's go back to round 27. Jahrome Hughes came back into the side with that shoulder injury. It was clear the Broncos made a target for him. Payne Haas running slightly wider. Obviously,
but he wasn't ready, mate.
But Hughes passes the test last time. It's funny, we spoke to Shane Webke on Sunday about
he churched that up.
But he said it was easier in the prelim. He said he struggled in the grand final because maybe he almost forgot about it a little bit, and he said it was harder for him to get through that GF.
Yeah, I think, mate, listen, he's making that up, Shane. No, he did. He played, like he did. He played, I think, about 3 weeks after he broke it. And Wayne said to him, if you don't play, and I think we played Parramatta, if you don't play, you're not playing in the grand final. And then after, like, he sort of went, because there was eyes on him, right? And he was unbelievable in the semi, then in the grand final. I think he might have got hit on it a couple of times, and he felt, and then he said he felt it moving, but he didn't worry about it Mad Monday. So that's why I thought he was churching it up a little bit.
But on that point with Jahrome, like 2019 when we were playing the Roosters, Cooper Cronk's walking around with one arm. We're licking our lips here. We're going, here we go, you beauty. But you can really lose your structure and your focus as a team in attack. If you're chasing this guy, and like halfbacks are the best of all of them, they can hide, you know. Like how many of them hit on a wing?
It worked for them in round 27.
Yeah, but he was gone with his shoulder. Yeah. So I sat there and watched as a fan. So I went there, took the kids, and I'm sitting there, and Jimmy, in the warm up, he could I don't think it was his arm. I reckon it was his shoulder. Yeah. I reckon his shoulder's better now. So when he went through that gap and he went bang last week, and then there was no second thoughts with it, and there's some people that heal faster. I don't reckon it'll be in his brain. And if he breaks it again, he breaks it.
But you look at like the strategy, right? You're coming out of your yardage. What do? You run at little blokes, try and get ruck speed. Hughes is going to jump out in the wing, so he's going to be really hard to get to. And then when he's defending his try line, he's going to need to be in that 3 in position because he's not going to throw the structure out, and he'll just have to make his tackles. But I'd be worried if I'm Broncos, if you're developing this whole game plan to get at him and you lose, because you're playing amazing footy as well. Yeah. It's kind of, do you chase Jahrome or do you back yourself to play your own?
It's the dilemma, isn't it? Because when you come up against Melbourne, you know that they're going to be difficult to break down. This could be a perceived chink in their armour that might just be your way to leverage some play the ball speed, to leverage, create an opportunity. We send traffic at Jahrome, they'll skittle the ruck, and then we get our shift on.
Yep.
It was the most recent game between the two sides, and I thought that was a feature of the Broncos' play. With Madge Maguire, he's coming, Gordy. Talk of him trying to control the media. We spoke about Stefano Utoikamanu and his comments. What have you made of Madge and the ability to get this team to the grand final?
Well, it's been a great effort. I just think the players, from what some of the hurdles that they've jumped, like Melbourne, I don't know how many games. Madge had only won one game against Craig Bellamy in his whole coaching, whether he's at South or whatever. So to get that monkey off his back as well, Adam Reynolds, the demons of missing the kick. So there's a lot that has been lifted off this side, but it's the experience. If I look at them, and this was before that, they are the best roster. They are the shiniest toys, I think, in the game at the moment. If you look at Penrith, where they were a couple of years ago to now, they're not the same side. And I think they've lost 17 players that have played in grand finals. But I think it's an amazing job that what they've done, because the origin period's the toughest thing to get through. Payne Haas, he was, back injuries, that leg, to manage that through. Ezra Mam, there's been a fair bit happen off the field too at Brisbane. The Reece is a walking headline, to Ezra Mam, to the Payne Haas, to State of Origin, to the Tapau. There's been a lot of moving parts.
You forget about that, yeah.
At the back. So for those guys, for the players, I think mentally, but I think that comes with maturity as well. So coach has a big say, but I think the players have a bigger say.
But then also you look at their salary cap. They're pretty top heavy with some of their salaries. You got Walsh, Haas to be on a lot.
They've got $2 million
But they've done a great job at finding guys. Ben Talty's coming in off the bench, doing a great job. Shibasaki was great last week. Shibasaki's playing Origins here. So
Karapani.
Obviously Maguire's doing a good job at finding contributors who are probably on minimum contracts, who, might not, he's obviously developing them well, and they're playing really well because your big boys are. It's also your bottom five guys in the 17. Sometimes they can win and lose your games as well.
Yeah, it's an interesting point you make. Think like Karapani in particular as well. His contribution has been great. Ben Talty, you mentioned, he unfortunately looks like he's going to miss out. You have to put Carrigan back into the side. Yeah, that's a no-brainer. But there was a bit of deliberation on who would miss out. Do you think they've made the right call there?
Yeah, I think so. He's come in halfway through the year. I think you pay the law.
But I guess the conversation is you got Ben Hunt, you've got Ezra Mam, and you've got Smoothie, who he can play a 13 role, but he's a hooker as well. So I guess it's either Smoothie or Talty. Whether you go for another utility or you back another big boy.
Well, when you look at Payne Haas, we're talking about him playing 80 minutes. He can play long minutes. Carrigan plays long minutes. Jensen, they can rotate a little bit with Willison. I think it's a pretty good mix. You know what I mean? And you just said that it's a smaller men's game. You just keep him out of the early.
And Smithy's good defender.
Yeah,
He does a good job in the middle.
Yeah, mate, keep him out of the football. Mate, they did a great job against the massive Penrith pack that come out fired up. I thought that they were great defensively early.
Yeah. Carrigan, it would have been particularly nervous for him watching on Sunday, but geez, some of those boys stood up. Willison as well, his contribution shouldn't be underestimated. Fresh back from a 6-week injury layoff, maybe.
Man, that's amazing. Those guys that come back injured, right? 6 weeks off, going into that. Jahrome Hughes had played 15 minutes before his game in whatever 8 weeks, or 20 odd minutes in 8 weeks. That's that's when you come down to the sports science. So Rano, Ezra Mam, and Wilson, like for a big guy, to be like he turned up and did a pretty good job as well.
Christian, just going to the Melbourne Storm, and speaking of middle forwards being suspended, Big Nelson misses his second grand final in a row. Where's his head at with this? Like, what would he be going through right now?
Yeah, challenging couple of years for Nels, because he's a bit of a unicorn with his skill set and his power. Like, you don't find too many Nelsons in the competition, and I guess they probably haven't got the best out of him. I think it's probably fair to say in the last couple of years. So yeah, I'm not sure where that's at. I've been away from the club for a while, but when he's on and he's fully invested, he's an incredible presence around the club. But obviously he's on a really good salary as well, and you need to go out and be one of your best players on the field. I don't know what's happening, but it's not really clicking at the moment. But hopefully next year,
is the game too fast for him? Is he too big?
Oh, I don't think so. But then, like, you make some adjustments, if you need to get a little bit lighter. But, like, there's so many guys like Willison, he wouldn't be too much smaller than him. So there's still room for big boys. I guess it's how you deploy them. And then I guess the bigger picture, not talking about Nelson, but is like, what's the value now of those big boppers who they're not going to play 80 minutes like Haas? How much do you pay a guy like Nelson who he might give you 35 or 40, but he might impact the game and get that quick play the ball or run over a guy on a try. Like that's where we're at now. We're really wrestling between
pay him by the minute.
Smaller leg speed guys and the guys who
like pushing trolley days.
You'd soon see some people lose some kgs if you're getting paid by the minute. I want to ask you, talking of like the demons of the Broncos from 23 and 15. Looking back at last year's grand final, it was said that if Melbourne had have had Nelson to break that game open, maybe they would have won. That was it. It was great looking back with the benefit of hindsight and saying he would have been a point of difference. We never know that, but is that something that would maybe be on the minds of this Melbourne Storm?
Oh, I don't think so, because I haven't had him, to be honest. And he's been out for a while, and to be honest, last year there was do I contest it? But they've accepted it. They obviously didn't think they could get it off, so I think they're at peace with it. But also, talking about those Broncos, like the new coach, do you think Reece Walsh is thinking about, like, he's a bit like Munster, I think, where he's so instinctive and he's out there and he's playing what's in front of him. I don't think these guys are going to get caught up in the historical things. But look, would Nelson made a difference last year? Yeah, probably. But also, we're talking about the greatest NRL team, of the modern era. Like, they're pretty amazing side, Penrith Panthers.
They maybe exploit him as well. For everything Nelson maybe give.
Yeah.
Like, being that big, it takes away something as well defensively with your movement patterns and your ability to tie in. It's just part of the course. I think back again to round 27. Xavier Coates was vocal after the game around the attention that the Broncos players gave him. He was especially critical of how that game was officiated. He felt like
it's a different referee. It's a totally different referee. Because I watched that Katoni Staggs, like, don't I remember? He just grabbed him and he was happy. So I'm sure Bellamy would say, well, is that a penalty? Like, I'm sure he's going to ask for clarification now. Because he goes, well, if it's not, my players will do it.
They would have sent clips this week of all that. So the NRL going, hey, we don't want any favours, just give us a fair shake.
So that means that if we hold
sure
Reece
Well, there was a couple of penalties
on
on the weekend for the Panthers for escorts. One of the very few penalties that Grant Atkins blew was for escort penalty. I think Broncos conceded 2.
Are we happy with the referee selection?
It's the same referee from round 27, by the way, Atkins.
Oh, right.
So,
Okay.
did he?
Yeah.
Do you think Atkins should have been the grand final? Or?
I think normally he lets the players sort it out. I think a couple of times in big games, I've been a little critical of Klein. Like in Origins when it was that, and just the 6 ago again, I just don't know some of the decisions.
Yeah.
I think that both sides will have a chance to win it. Like when Adam G did the Penrith game, we didn't talk about him. It was fast flowing, and I thought Penrith on the weekend, like there was that intercept. I thought that was a bit hard. I thought that could have went back. You know, I mean, I'm thinking mate, the ball's gone 3 or 4 sets of hands. I don't know how you come that. And
I'm surprised that didn't go to the video ref.
Mate, and I don't think they can because I think it come from the touch judge.
Yeah, but if he scored, if McLean was going to score,
No, mate,
so
but
you
he
can
did
send
score.
that up as
He did score.
you can give it a try and it will be reviewed.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm going to steal the saying again. There's correct decisions and there's the right decision. So when Nathan Cleary got tackled, he was on the ground. There's 4 wrestled Liam Martin. I thought that was the right decision.
Yeah.
Just leaving them all on the field. There was 4 involved. You all got to push and shove. No one was injured. That's the right decision. The correct decision is probably Liam Martin. You come and hit him. You're in the bin. And then all of a sudden it doesn't
Spoils the contest.
And you know what it was? Everyone's going, well, Hudson Young got sent off for a back check. He shouldn't have been sent off.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
yeah, you're
We're
two wrongs
comparing
don't
it
make
to
a right
incorrect
decision.
overreaches, and we go, oh well, if that's not 10 the bin. So I think, fair enough.
Just on the referees, and if you could, you're closest to Coach Bellamy. Can you take us inside there around maybe some of the messaging about what this team can get away with? Because I think it's a necessary evil that we have to commentate about the referees' performance, and the difference between Friday and Sunday was mind blowing. The fact that we got to this stage in the season and one referee interprets the game like Klein did on Friday versus Atkins on Sunday. I don't like that we're at that stage, but coming to this Sunday, there seems to be pressure to let the game flow. Is this something that Coach Bellamy will be looking to exploit?
Oh, I don't know if exploit, but they're certainly aware of where refs are looking to give penalties, right?
Okay.
Coming out of yardage, 10 metres from their own line, you better be onside. You don't jump it. Like, they're the easy ones, ref, that they'll blow. So, but then obviously when they're attacking the try line, they're cracking down on it. But hey, like you look at Penrith, the masters of adding weight in on the tackles there, you know, and like to their credit, it's so effective and how hard they work. So I think there's different areas of the field where you're going to push the button, but then you want to be really clean. If you've got a team on the rack and you've got them in yardage, be really clean. But then if they're attacking your try line, push it a little bit.
I think it's been really interesting, the commentary on the match officials, and look, I'm a part of that.
But do you know what? I come through an era where referees, right, all referee different.
Yeah.
And now we're trying to make them. It's like players.
I feel sorry for them, honestly.
Yeah, so
the key matchups.
Reece Walsh versus the world, Cameron Munster versus the world, Harry Grant versus the world. The big players. You know, we're all little pawns, and then you look for the big bishops and that's the Lockies and that in my era. And you can have a moment. It's about winning the moments for the cannon fodder, but it'll be Reece, it'll be Munster, it'll be Hunt, it'll be Haas, it'll be Katoni Staggs, and those moments that can just break with the X factor, that have something a bit more. It'll be the Harry Grants, the Munsters, the Hugheses, and everybody else. Just do your job.
And their job is win the field position battle.
Yep.
And it is empty the tank, line speed, restrict meters, kick pressure, put Reynolds, Hunt, put him under, let's get a catch on the full, win that. And then there's probably 3 or 4 others. They're going to make the winning play. The rest of them, you're just soldiers and you're just going to go empty the tank.
Yeah, Sam.
I think the game is going to be won in the last 5 minutes again. I looked at Canberra. They got the runs on the board, and they couldn't quite. They eventually ran out of luck. I've looked at Brisbane, and I shouldn't say ran out of luck. That's a wrong phrase. That is the wrong way. They just ran out of.
They stopped playing,
winning that opportunity. I look at Brisbane. They got that last 5 minute win, or longer than that, against the Raiders. They got it against the Panthers. I think when it comes down to it now, the last 5 minutes, probably that. Not necessarily the extra 2 days, but I think
Well, that comes down to
the intensity
that comes
of the
down to
previous
Reynolds.
games. I think the last 5 minutes, I think the advantage is slightly with Melbourne, and that is the only reason I'm going to tip
Well,
Melbourne.
does that come down then to your game management? So that's like Harry Grant and Munster versus
Yeah.
Hunt and Reynolds, really. Just to
feel,
make
'cause
sure
yeah,
that we're
yeah.
poor set into a good set,
Yeah,
where
it
you
does.
start to where you finish. You know, do you throw that extra pass? Do you just keep on getting meters? Do you be too
Yeah.
negative to...
And it could even come, like,
That's
you
the
look at the fullbacks, Pappenhausen's been great as well, but
Yep.
and Walsh, like, they're fantastic players, but they've also got an odd error or a loose pass in them. So it could even come down to, you know, who's going to just hold on to that and wear the tackle instead of going for that low percentage chance.
Yeah,
You know?
I hope it doesn't.
They think it's high percentage.
Well, yeah, they
I
always
hope
do.
it doesn't.
As forwards, you go, why
Yeah.
would he do that? But he's done it 12
And then they
times.
trot back 40 metres
Yeah.
behind anyone making a tackle and they go, you make another 6 tackles, boys. Well, yeah, we'll give it another
Move to your
go.
right,
Yeah.
move to your left. Christian, who are you tipping and why?
Storm, obviously. I just think our forwards are going to be zeroed in platform. You know, Josh King, he doesn't need run meters. He's just doing his best to restrict Haas. Carrigan's obviously going to be big in. And then it's just basically set a platform and give our spine a chance with field position.
Gordan.
Momentum's massive. Brisbane have it.
Okay.
Momentum in moments, and I just think Reece Walsh, I just, he's slowly coming of age. He's right now he's in rare air.
Of the 6 teams that played in finals that aren't there Sunday, which do you think has the biggest regret?
Canberra.
You rest everyone in round 27, and obviously you're confident and you push. Like, do you think the Brisbane Broncos, who go down to Burleigh on their day off, sunning themselves, do you think they want to play Sunday at 4 o'clock, or do you think they want to play Saturday night in Canberra at 1 degree? Like, make your opposition uncomfortable. You've got an advantage in Canberra. They should have dragged them into the deep cold. They gave them that leg up, and then they lost, and then you got a short turnaround. I think Canberra's probably the one where they're going to really regret.
Yeah, I think with
how
15,
they did their finals.
15 or 16 minutes ago, Canberra had that one, and I reckon they put the cue in the rack.
Yeah.
And I reckon in that last 20 minutes, like there'd be 15 plays whether they passed or didn't push up or didn't kick, and they would just be sitting there. There'd be so many moments they go, God. And I reckon if they got 3 of those right, they win the game.
And you look at Canberra, best team all year. Like, this comp is there for them to win.
Yeah.
And you think about the heartbreak of the last few years, like this. And running into this season, I looked at the Storm on paper. I'm going, we've added Stefano. I'm going, we're going to run away with this comp, because I thought every other team had it gotten worse. You know, they'd lost players. And I was thinking, this is comps for anyone, like a Canberra, to make a run. But yeah, they just didn't work out for them.
Penrith being last in round 12.
Yeah,
But it
mate,
eventually
yeah.
got them, I reckon, that last 15.
Yeah, you mean like then?
But
and then-
what an amazing
And then when
year
you
for them.
ask, how do they end up last?
I don't know, Gordon.
Look, I don't even remember the start of the year, right? Because it goes that long. But I'm thinking, how did they start that bad? Like there was sort of not in. Like it was weird, right? They dropped a couple of games and then they won a couple. Then it was like, shit, they're last.
There weren't many pundits that were willing to put their balls on the line and say they
No one
can't
did.
win it from last.
No one did.
But if anyone did, well done.
Yeah.
And you nearly got proven wrong. I'm with you guys. I
Oh,
think,
mate, listen, and your dogs would have a regret too.
yeah,
From shaking it up in the middle of the year.
yeah, potentially.
I know.
But then also
I know
the
that's
question-
on your rundown. The dogs.
But were the Dogs going to win a comp this year, or
Well, you
hey,
don't
let's
know.
get half a year in a Galvin and then hey, our window's
Yeah.
in 2 years? That's the argument, I guess you'd be thinking.
Yeah. Oh, mate, of course they made it for the future, but the future's now. The news is now.
The news
This
is
is
now.
the news.
You know what? It's always interesting because I've been in this position before where you've got that regret and how you deal with it. And I'm thinking to Ricky Stewart and that young crop of players, how the stress that Ethan Strange would be under, like feeling almost like he's let everyone down, but he hasn't. If he'd be letting this team down if he had a try played and he was not capable. But the understanding that the stars probably did align for us here. We were the best team and we're not there. I think there'd be massive. Sorry, it's going to be massive how Ricky Stewart manages this. I think the best thing to do is get together and watch it and have some mutual suffering rather than, oh, no, I'm not going to bother. Watch it together,
Don't you just
mutually
hope
suffer.
that like 10 of your players, the big ones, go and play a bit of rep footy at the end of the year and get the demons out?
Yeah,
Then-
but I think doing it together it is the best course of action. Like watch that and suffer together with a beer. And
It's definitely, I think, in 2021, I think we won 17 or 18 straight. We were flying. It was when we were up in Noosa, and we got rolled in week one, knocked off Manly really well, prelim. Panthers lost week one. They go the long way. I think you go to Mackay, play Parramatta, and then we're licking our lips for that prelim, and then they rolled us. And I remember watching that grand final, and you're right, the feeling where you're going, like, we should be there, like, we could easily win this game. And that's what all those Raiders boys,
We all had those moments.
and it's a nasty feeling to be sitting there with.
did you watch it together or watch it separately?
No, I watched it separately because we're all on the hub.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I think we had enough of each other by then.
Yeah,
so
mate.
we're all
Yes, so we
scattered.
watched, in '99, we got knocked out, and Melbourne won the grand final. And I forget who knocked us out, and we're just sitting up in Darwin in this pub in his fancy dress. And I remember Petro having this gold jacket on, and it was the Darwin Open 1976 or something. It was that type. We were all sitting there, and when the grand final won, you could have heard a pin drop because we were talking all that. And then I reckon that 20 minutes, that was us cleansing our soul because we knew that we were better than that. But we just had a really poor... Actually, we got knocked out in round one from Cronulla at Shark Park because we finished 8th. And that was... We knew that we were good enough to be there. And that's... And I think that motivates you for the preseason.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think... And you're probably right. Don't watch it. Just go, boys, watch this. Just write down the things where you think that you could have improved. And let's put it in this box. And let's open it up at the end of the year and see whether we have.
Yeah.
Don't think about that too much.
There has been other news. We have focused on the grand final. The media sprint race.
I've been holding out for this.
Won by Emma Lawrence. Controversy at the beginning. Charlie White.
Where did you come, Jimmy?
7th. I didn't gain. I didn't lose. But
The track that just...
mate,
How many runners were there? 7?
There was a huge controversy.
Who come last?
Josh Mansour, mate, shocker. Didn't even catch me. He says he gave up because he knew I was gone. Well, no surprise sauce. But huge controversy. In the build-up, Charlie White had put together the handicaps. And then we get to race day and we watch Buzz warm up. And everyone's jaw just dropped. It's like, oh no, but Rossfield's going to win this. Like, we had to move him back because Charlie was thinking he was a geriatric. And
Stop watching 360.
All this, everyone had their excuses. Buzz was like, oh, I'll need a Zimmer frame. I can only walk. Doctor's note came, everything.
We had dinner with Emma Lawrence, right? So this is the thing. When we were all talking about it, she says, oh, no, I've had 2 hip replacements or like I've had 2 hip surgeries and I can't run. I actually can't run.
Well, you know what? Those hip replacements makes you better. That's what I had hip surgery as well. It's made me better than previous to hip
Obviously
surgery.
not, because you didn't make any. You didn't beat anybody.
Mate, Michael Chamas, mate, basically, you're going to call him the C word. He cheated. He got off to an early start. He went way before anyone else. Was not waiting for the whistle. Gordy, you would not
It's
be.
journos, mate. They're lack of ethics.
But you know what? It was a success. I think Emma Lawrence.
Did Ricky O beat Tom?
Yes, he did. So Birmingham's getting his tattoo. Actually, yeah.
So Tom, talk a big. I love
the
Tom.
big game.
I love Tom.
Mate, should have seen Reedy. He came with super shoes. The Athletics Federation is actually investigating Reedy's shoes to see if they're regulation, if they qualify for a sprint race.
Walked into 360. He goes, mate, I had a run the other day, Gordy. He was serious. It's just us two. He goes, I'm flying.
He plays soccer, doesn't he? Every week?
Yeah.
No, mate. He said he played for the Brisbane Strikers, which was the Brisbane Roar before that. But I'm not sure.
There's no video evidence of him playing for the Brisbane Strikers.
No.
But do you go back next year? And do you think you embarrassed yourself and your family with your 7th?
But I started in 7th.
Okay.
So I started in 7th.
So you didn't catch any of those gibbers in front of you?
No, I didn't. No.
So you didn't catch Reedy, you didn't catch Buzz, you didn't catch
and he had
Ricky.
He had 5 meters. He only had 5 meters on me. But that's
so
bad.
Reedy had 5 meters on you.
Well, small frame.
Yeah, but he had super shoes on.
No.
He did have super shoes.
Mate, please.
I just had
Please.
boots.
Hey?
I just had like my old school boots.
I saw them. You had your New Balance boots on,
Yeah,
which are, seriously, Bill Gates doesn't play footy. Right?
But mate, I've
Steve
got to wear
Jobs.
black boots. It's the rule.
I'll get you some Nike.
No, I've got to wear. Yeah, as long as they're black, that's fine. I'll take any sponsor. They just have to be black. It's the rule. And you know what? When it comes back in fashion, I'll be the cool one and say I've been here since the
So
early.
you only
90s.
played your whole footy career in black boots?
or maybe a handful of games without. But when I was 17, coming through in the St. Helens Academy, making my debut for the academy, start of the year, the coach says, and it was 2002, just around like the colour boots coming into fashion. He says, I don't care who you are or who you're going to be, or whether you train with the first team or you don't, you have to wear predominantly black boots to play in my team, and I will stand by that. And like everyone was like, all right, sweet. So the whole team had to
That's
wear
Alex Ferguson's deal too. I think you had to play 100 games
Oh, right.
for Manchester before you could wear a coloured pair of boots.
And he was strict on what car you could turn up in as well. He
Were you
made
black?
all the.
Now, my mentality was black is slow, and I'm already slow enough. So
So you
anything
wore coloured?
that
Did you wear coloured boots? Like,
Yeah,
would you
yeah,
wear
I
the
did,
pinks
yeah.
now
Yeah,
or the
but-
pinks and the bright?
But see,
Did
I'm
you know
not.
the All Blacks all lined up the other day when they played, and they had the bright yellow boots on, and that's so then they sit down and they whatever the boot someone picks, the captain, like they just
right.
all wear exactly the
So
same
they're in uniform.
in uniform from
Well,
boots.
that's
all
that,
that.
yeah.
So
But-
that's pretty cool.
But I wasn't like a silver spoon, on huge money at St. Helens coming through a superstar. I'm a blue collar, working class battler.
Villanova. Or?
Yeah, working class school in Brisbane. So for me,
Villanova, isn't that a
I'm
private
grateful
school?
if I get a free pair of boots.
Mate,
there's no
is that a
judgment
private
there.
school?
term?
Huh?
What's the price per term?
No,
mate?
it's
Mate, isn't
yeah.
that a private school?
No, well-
Did you ever beat Morris Brothers Ashgrove?
Yeah, flogged them
Please.
all the time.
What's the price per term
Cooper
at the
Cronk.
Nah,
went
it's not
to-
much. But anyway,
Did you beat Laurie's?
yes.
Yeah, Cronk's. That's Cooper Cronk's club or
Yes.
school. We just got to
Cooper
beat
Cronk,
those guys.
Will Zillman.
Well, yeah, the media race was fantastic. But Buzz Rothfield just, surprised the world.
You know,
really.
I might go on it next year.
We'd love to have you in.
Is there a kit? But there's got to be a proper handicap with kilos, no training. I won't train. I don't want to train. I'll run barefoot. Right, I'll have 6 beers before we go there, mate, whatever. But
Bit of
I don't want to
earthing,
go.
fiddler.
Yeah, well, I just don't like it. Does well. He's talking about shoes, fast shoes. Or, I can-
Reedy's-
or I'll come out in
Reedy's-
Kathy Freeman's suit.
the sponge
from
on
the
Reedy,
2000 final.
the sponge on Reedy's shoe. They were like running trampolines. It was insane. But we'll do the serious awards. It's Dally M's.
Yep.
Obviously, this will be out post. So congratulations to James Tedesco, we're assuming.
Do you know what? I reckon Strange gets a run, and I reckon Reece Walsh will get a run. Reece
Because
Walsh-
they're late form.
Yeah, see, so the Roosters were up and down. Don't forget, you get 6 points now.
I'm going to just
And you
slip
think
onto
about
my
Raiders, what
Ladbrokes
they end
app.
up on-
Have a quick look at Reedy. Oh, you can't bet. You can't bet on the Dally M's anymore.
No,
I reckon Strange could be a snake. Like
mate, I reckon.
minor prems, and they won it
everybody's-
pretty easy.
Well, like before,
Who's
Teddy-
polling votes there?
Yeah, I think Teddy was ahead, right? But then the Roosters didn't have that like a Raiders season.
Yeah.
And then Reece Walsh, the last, like, mate, Adam Reynolds was out for 6 weeks. You think Reece has got 6 weeks of 6 points?
Yeah. You're probably right.
Or
Yeah.
4 weeks of 6 points. That's a lot of points.
Oh, well, I guess we'll
I don't know. So
by
then
the
that's
time
on-
this goes out, we'll know. But one thing we do know is Teddy's not playing for the Kangaroos, which is a big disappointment. He's getting stem cell injections into his knee. I didn't know.
I thought he was best man at a wedding.
Well, I think it's a bit of a combination of both, but it's mainly the
right.
the stem cells. But I didn't know you could do that.
Oh, you thought it was
I thought it was
Enhanced-
I thought that
enhancement.
was banned. But obviously, he's not going to come public with it if it's legal. But I think what it goes
Did
to.
you just dob him in?
Well, he wouldn't have put it
Oh,
out
the
there.
dobber.
But
Let's just change it to the dobber round.
I think what is important to know is that the level of pain that players endure and push through for their clubs, like whatever happens to James Tedesco at tonight's Dally M's, I think it's
He deserves it.
round of applause and take a bow for pushing through all that pain. And it's not just him. There's a lot of players out
everybody
there
does.
that would be.
After round 4, you just carry something, I reckon, all the way through.
Yeah.
Something small to big, and then you get bigger ones as you go. Who wins coach?
Ricky Stewart will win it and should win it.
I think so too. I think if you look at where the clubs started to where they finished, like you, and I feel sorry for Craig Bellamy. I think, what is it? He's 11th grand final, like 11 grand finals, overtakes Wayne Bennett now as it's ridiculous. But we expect Craig to do that. Where we probably didn't expect Ricky to have that side to win the minor premier. So I think that might be it.
I probably there's different ways you can look at coaching, but I always look at the advancement of younger players.
Yeah,
and I think that they're more impressionable. I think with all due respect, obviously Coach Bellamy sets the environment, but you'd expect Grant, Munster, Pappenhausen, Hughes to all play at that level. And he's done a fantastic job with some of those younger players and those less experienced players as well. But I look at Ricky Stewart's, the trajectory that he's put some of those younger players on, that has to come from time and pure coaching. So it's a results-based industry, but I look at pure coaching context and go, Ricky Stewart has coached those players to be way better than what anyone anticipated.
Hard to argue.
Yeah. R360 look like it is going to get some traction. It's interesting that the only reports I've read have been here in Australia. So far in the UK, nothing on any of the major websites from their rugby union pages. Zach Lomax is one of the stars that is heavily linked. Some saying he's maybe played his last game for Parramatta despite having a number of years left on his deal. Is this going to end up in the courtroom?
No.
The competition's too big. There's too many stars. Good luck to them. If you want to go do that, the NRL's going to be just fine. It's such a pipeline of talent, and the people come through. Why would you bother? He's going to be based in Dubai.
But the NRL will be fine. But we've got to stand for something.
Yeah, no,
we
but
can't
listen,
allow our players to break. Yeah, but
Jimmy,
they can't break contract.
Yeah, I get it. So, and then that is true. If they break a contract, I think Peter V'landys said that they're not allowed back in our game. Is it a bit harsh? I don't know about that. I want a bit of time to think about that. But Wendell Saylor did it. Lottie Takiri did it.
When they were off contract, though.
Sonny Bill did it through contract, but our game survived, right?
Yeah.
And then was I a bit hurt as a leaguey watching, someone break their thing and go over there and play code? But, the next star in Suoliti just did it just so recently. But then so the stars coming through our game, we're going to be okay. They're not going to drag all our stars. They can't afford the real big ones. Generally rugby don't get our high-end guys because they're paid well, but good luck to the players that want to go play it, but I wouldn't go.
Yeah, so there's talk of 10 NRL players that have already committed, but big names. Sorry.
So Lomax, Tuivasa-Sheck.
The 10 names. Sorry. Yeah, so from the very top. So the 10 NRL players believed to have committed in the competition are Storm star Pappenhausen, Eels winger Zach Lomax, Rabbitohs fullback Jai Gray. I wouldn't exactly call Jai Gray one of the major stars of our game, but again, good luck to them, Gordy. If they're off contract,
absolutely.
Fair enough. But if you're on contract, I'm
Roger
sorry.
Tuivasa-Sheck, a few others.
Yeah, Roger Tuivasa.
They've given our game enough.
As horrible as this sounds, you've got to go to the courtroom. You can't allow players to break contract, because then what is the difference between going to a different sport versus going to a different club? Contracts already are, deemed not worth the paper they're written on. I really do think we have to stand for something here and not just allow players to break contract and go to a breakaway competition.
I concur. Well said, Jimmy.
Yeah, but I mean, how many clubs knife players mid-contract? Do they get mediation through courts? Come on now.
Yeah, I know.
We've all been around clubland. Yeah, there's one or two players who go, I want out early, but there'd be 5 times as many players who are getting wrist-held by clubs. But there's no one cares about that.
I know what you're saying.
No, mate, look, if you're not doing your job, the good players don't get wrist-held. It's the ones that aren't doing their job.
Yeah, but if they're putting their effort in,
but your contract is still guaranteed. So if you get wrist-held by a club, you get told to go to another club, your value, you have to be paid. Lewis Dodd has just been paid out. He's leaving South Sydney.
He hasn't got it all.
No, mate, but he could stay in reserve grade at South.
Yeah, for sure. But he's a young kid. He's not going to do that.
No, but he could.
Yeah.
He's still going to get a
And still
handsome
get
payout.
paid. So it's good, mate. It's a good argument. It's good to have the other side.
Yeah.
Friends, Jimmy, you bullying people all the time.
Too busy hating on refs.
Yeah, poor guys. Hey, Calvin Klein.
Ashley
Ashley Klein's older brother, Calvin.
I do think it's an interesting story, and we can dive into whether or not we think it's going to take off. But I think the point we all make is that the game will survive. It will thrive. It's going absolute gangbusters. The product keeps on delivering time and time again. And Sunday, I think, will be no different. Gordan, Tallis, Christine Walsh, thank you so much for joining us here on the Bar Round.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Cheers, boys.